Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First, the voice of the people. I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Plans are in place to isolate several other areas, effective this evening. COVID-19 tests to be conducted on people entering and exiting the Western province. Chinese Defence Minister concludes his visit to Sri Lanka.
Now those stories in detail. The head of the National Operations Centre on Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva, stated that certain areas will be under lockdown in the afternoon with the identification of COVID-19 cases.
Several areas in the Trincomalee district have been placed under isolation. More isolations will take place after analysing the situation today. Several locations will be isolated depending on the areas where COVID-19 cases are identified.
State Minister of Primary Health Care, Epidemics and COVID Disease Control, Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulle said the government is exploring the possibility of transforming the state-run quarantine centres into intermediate COVID-19 treatment centres. The State Minister noted that this measure will be taken in the event the rate of COVID-19 cases detected in the country continues to increase.
If the number of COVID-19 cases increase in the future, we will have to convert the quarantine centres into intermediary hospitals. If that happens, we will have to limit the arrival of Sri Lankans and tourists from abroad, since there are close to 12,000 patients in quarantine centres. Maintaining quarantine centres is a huge challenge. With the new variant, if the number of COVID-19 cases increase, we will have to convert these quarantine centres into intermediary hospitals. We believe if this takes place, certain limits will have to be imposed. Chairman of the Gampaha District Coordination Committee, Sahan Pradeep, said a decision has been made to establish a 200-bed hospital in Veralawatta, Gampaha following the rapid surge in COVID-19 cases in the area.
As of now, all the beds in the IC units of Minuwangoda, Watupitiwala and Dompe hospitals are all occupied by patients. Therefore, there is a problem as to how to provide the required healthcare facilities to the newly identified COVID-19 patients. There is a set of buildings belonging to the isolated BOI in Veralawatta, Gampaha. His Excellency the President has advised our COVID committee to use that building as a temporary hospital with the support of the Western Province Health Ministry and philanthropists. As of now, Sri Lanka Navy has promised to take the initiative to install 200 beds in this temporary hospital, and the approval for that is already given by the COVID committee. The Director General of Health has promised to provide the required human resource to the centre. The way will
There are a lot of inquiries in regard to the hospital facilities, whether we will go short of hospital facilities, but we can assure you that no. Now, the hospitals have certain capacity, the hospital being created in such a way, but not for a situation like this. But however, already we have taken measures to increase the number of beds in certain hospitals and thereby to stand for the requirement. But however, if that is also not sufficient, we have already earmarked certain quarantine centers, which we did in the past, was converted into hospitals, intermediate care centers, and we still looked after the COVID positive cases. Even now we are doing that. So we have already earmarked certain such facilities to be converted into hospitals. Even if that goes short of, then of course we have already earmarked few hotels to be converted to hospitals. This is also not a new practice, but for the last 4 months, the Sri Lanka Army, we got one hotel with about 750 capacity in the southern part of Sri Lanka, and even now we are running a hospital for COVID positive cases. And as you know that certain private hospitals also run like that in hotels. But over and above, if we have any requirement, we will look after the patients of COVID positive cases in Sri Lanka. If at all, if we are running short of all places, we will take more hotels already which we have earmarked, and we will ensure that people are looked after if they get positive.
Meanwhile, after the first dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine was inoculated on the 29th of January, the inoculation of the second dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine continued today as well. Frontline health workers were inoculated with the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine at the Ragama Teaching and Children's Hospital. The inoculation process of the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine commenced yesterday. 3,445 health workers were inoculated with the second dose yesterday. The first dose of the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine was provided to 25,242 people.
We apologize for that technical difficulty. Moving along, random COVID-19 tests will be carried out on individuals who enter and exit the Western Province with effect from today. Special roadblocks will be enforced at 12 entry and exit points of the Western Province with effect from 12 noon today until further notice. Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said the operation will be carried out by Sri Lanka Police in collaboration with the health authorities and the Triforces.
These places are Topua Bridge in Kochikade, Badalgama Bridge Kotadeniava, Halagala Junction Nittambua, Giriulla Bridge Mirigama, Samanabad Bridge Dompe, Wahagoda Bridge Angwella, Bentara Bridge Aludgama, Tiniavala Junction, Katakadal Bridge Ingiriya, and Samandevala Point Baduralia, Avittava Bridge Migahatanna, and the exchange of Valipanna of Southern Highway. So these are the points where we have selected in order to conduct a special operation, and randomly test would be conducted at the entrance and exit points of Western Province. So therefore your support and cooperation is highly solicited in this regard.
6 COVID-19 related deaths were reported in the country yesterday, raising Sri Lanka's COVID-19 death toll to 661. Meanwhile, 1,466 COVID-19 cases were reported in the country yesterday, recording an all-time high in the daily tally of confirmed infections. Accordingly, the total number of COVID-19 cases has now risen to 104,953. The Director General of Health Services confirmed that 9,205 active patients are receiving treatment for the virus, while 95,083 have recovered. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa participated in a number of public events yesterday.
While opposition leader Sajith Premadasa urged the general public to adhere to all COVID-19 health guidelines in order to curb the spread of the virus, he said the government must implement a plan in this regard. He expressed the following remarks during an event held at the Horavila Raja Mahaviharya in Vilpattu yesterday. The opposition leader spoke to the area residents as well. Villagers also expressed their concerns regarding the human-elephant conflict and drinking water problems in the area.
While we discuss the crucial times our country is facing in the fight against the third wave of COVID-19, I would like to remind you about an effective plan implemented by the Israeli government to curb the spread of this virus. The Israeli government has made arrangements to vaccinate all Israeli citizens in the country. Sri Lanka has a population of around 22 million. Each person must be provided with 2 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Therefore, Sri Lanka requires about 44 million doses of the vaccine. However, only 1.2 million doses of the vaccine had been brought into the country. Due to this ineffective plan implemented by the government of Sri Lanka, the people who have received the first dose of the vaccine will not be able to receive the second dose on time. Today, the entire country is in fear of COVID-19. The hospitals are running out of ICU beds, nor do they have regular beds. They do not have medicine to treat patients. The entire health sector has collapsed. Initially, they said the second dose will be provided by mid-April. Now they are procrastinating. The more the government procrastinates, the chances of the immune capacity or the vaccine reducing increases.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader met with representatives of the insurance industry yesterday. The group discussed the problems faced by the sector.
President's Council Attorney at Law U.R.D. Silva stated the number of people permitted to enter the Supreme Court premises has been limited.
කොළඹ මහාධිකරණ නීතිත සංගමය සහ
The attorneys and the judges of the High Court held discussions. Based on the discussions, we decided to conduct operations at the court complex with certain limitations because it was clear that it needs to be performed in a manner beneficial for all the stakeholders. Accordingly, only the defendants were allowed to enter the Supreme Court complex. Apart from that, anyone else can be called based only on the requirement. Even the senior lawyers were instructed to refrain from bringing their juniors. We informed the prison during the 14 days to temporarily stop bringing inmates to the courts, considering the health precautions.
කියලා ඒ සෞඛ්‍ය ආරක්ෂක හේතු මත.
The Chinese Defense Minister Wei Fenghe, who arrived in the island on a two-day official visit, left the island this morning.
The Chinese Defense Minister, who arrived in the island yesterday, met with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The President's media division stated many factors involving the two countries were discussed during his visit to the country. The Chinese Defense Minister also attended the bilateral discussions held with the participation of the Secretary of Defense, General Kamal Gunaratne. The visit, involving high-ranked defense representatives from the Republic of China, also saw the signing of the military cooperation policy with Sri Lanka. The Defense Ministry of the People's Republic of China stated military cooperation development was extensively focused during the visit.
A wild elephant attack was reported in Padaviyagama in Galgamuva yesterday.
Residents of the Padaviyagama are severely affected by the constant wild elephant attacks occurring in the area. Our correspondent said that a house in the village was destroyed by a marauding wild elephant. The wild elephant had also eaten paddy stored in the house. Residents here urged the relevant authorities to provide a solution to the human-elephant conflict in the area.
Area residents of Uvaparnagama allege that a timber racket is being carried out close to Umaoya Basin in Damagalla.
The Umaoya Basin is located in close proximity to the historic Halaba Bridge in Uvaparnagama. Police officers attached to the Divisional Secretariat and site forest officers took part in an inspection to investigate this timber racket. According to our correspondent, during the inspection, parts of kumbuk trees that had been cut down were found in the area. These illegal activities have already caused considerable damage to the Umaoya ecosystem. Area residents point out that it is clear that these trees have been cut down and removed from the area by racketeers. Further investigations into the incident are underway.
Farmers of Kolomune Variapula have pointed out that a construction of a water project that was carried out spending a huge sum of public funds has been halted.
The construction work at the Hengama Anicut was initiated 4 years ago across the Kolomune Oya, spending 40 million rupees. Under this irrigation project, water was supplied to 400 acres of paddy fields. The funds required for the project was allocated by the Ministry of Northwest Development. Farmers allege that only 90% of the project has been completed and there is more construction to be done. A water pumping station has been constructed above the dam, which is built across the Kolomune Oya with 10 sluice gates. Moreover, a tank to transport water from the pumping station through a pipe system can also be witnessed here. The construction work of an anicut ranging from 750 meters built on a layer of cement for the purpose of directing water to paddy fields has been completed. Farmers point out that only the construction work of a canal built across the paddy fields has ended. Due to the lack of water, farmers point out that they carry out farming by using rainwater. Some farmers have sought the use of a motor to pump water from the Kolomune Oya. These farmers request the water project, which was initiated with public funds, be completed.
The weekly Treasury bill auctions continue to go undersubscribed for the 8th consecutive week yesterday.
Yesterday's auction was undersubscribed by 33% after only 29.8 billion rupees worth of treasury bills were accepted from an offering of 45 billion rupees. A marginal increase in T-bill yields were witnessed in all three maturities, while bids worth 64.3 billion rupees were received.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan, along with producer Mariam Gunavijaya. You have yourself a wonderful day.